Hello and welcome to Pretty Good Gaming. My name's Mike Williams. I'm joined by Jake Kulkowski.
Hiya.
And we're going to be talking about Destiny 2 today. We've both played it, but Jake, you've played an awful lot more than I have. I've only played a couple of hours. I really like it so far. But there's a lot of questions about Destiny 2 still hanging around in the air there. I mean, a lot of people have made videos and articles and stuff covering a lot of this stuff, but we just thought there's some big questions about the game that we just kind of wanted to address, seeing as we've had some time with the game, to give you our impressions and just do it in a way that isn't just this is what we think, but in a way that's, you know, kind of useful to you. So one of the first things I wanted to talk about was what's the first thing that Destiny 1 fans are going to notice, do you reckon?
There's a story this time round.
Oh yeah, there's a story.
There's an actual story.
Characters.
There's characters. That's the important part, because
cutscenes.
Yeah. Well, what it is with Destiny 1, there was like an impending force of evil or darkness that was just like
completely nondescript.
Yeah, exactly. But this time round, it's like they've got this linear cinematic story, like a Star Wars or a Marvel film, basically, isn't it? Exactly. That you've got your enemy there, Dominus Gul, and you kind of have scenes where it's not just you and him, the player, but it'll be just him, so you can understand why he's doing what he's doing.
And whatever,
yeah, exactly.
You know.
Very much like Darth Vader, actually. You know how because
totally.
his face is obscured by a mask, and then he's got all these people around him. Somehow, in the first hour, there's been more memorable moments in Destiny's story than the whole Destiny.
Oh
1.
my god, completely. Yeah, I definitely agree with that. I mean, the fact that there is a plot to begin with is crucial to the fact that, you know, they can give you these memorable moments now, and a lot of it is just visual. You know, they're still keeping to that Destiny thing of showing you huge things going on and huge, you know, skyboxes. But this time, those skyboxes are also telling you a story. It's not just look how cool these like old space rocket yards are, which were very cool and some of my favorite locations, like in a game, to be honest. But this time, it's actually conveying plot to you. Like, this is happening now while you're walking across the side of this mountain. This is going on miles and miles off in the distance, which is wicked, right? That's really cool. Really good addition to the game. For me, it was a bit of a surprise. The first thing that I noticed, not just the fact that there was a story, and this is a bit of a spoiler, I guess. If you don't want to get spoiled on absolutely anything, then kind of turn off now. But mild spoiler. So it was just they kind of remembered your character, and not in a huge way, not in a very meaningful way, but just like a look. We remembered that you played Destiny 1, and it gives you a little sequence at the beginning, and it tells you like the story that you took part in, and also the expansions. It remembered which expansions I'd completed and which ones I hadn't bought and stuff. So it kind of recounts your history a little bit, and it's cool. It's really cool. The only gripe I got is that my character looks flipping weird, and I can't change it.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. I played Hunter first time rounds, 2014, and it remembered my character and brought it back in, including how you look, and I just kind of rolled with it. At first, I was like, does that mean everyone's playing Hunter? And I was like, oh yeah, obviously it's just going to play what I played. But for returning players that want to spice it up, change their Guardian type, I don't know if that's even an option. I don't know if you can.
It is, yeah, because I did consider it, because honestly, my character did look that weird. I was like, hang on, this just isn't. I can't handle this. I'm awful like that with like RPGs and stuff. I'll go back into the character creator if it's not quite normal.
He's no Terry from Mass Effect Andromeda.
Yeah, if it looks a bit too weird for me, I can't deal with it, so I've got to go back. So I did kind of consider it. So it definitely is an option. You can create your...
Destiny kind of starts at the end of the game, if that makes sense. When you're maxed out level 20, the end game stuff is just as important as the progression, right? So I guess the story kind of acts as a way of being a tutorial for the end game. Like you're unlocking things as you go along.
I think that is positive, though. I do think but what that does is that it makes the story one thing, and the story is your introduction to the game. It really, like you said, hammers home that idea that it's like, this is the end game is where Destiny really lies. But this is bringing you into the world, and it's a cool story to have for 20 hours, and then after that you get down to business, do some multiplayer stuff with your friends and all that.
It kind of feels overwhelming. Destiny 1, it was kind of like, here's all your stuff, you get plonked into the middle of it and do it. When you do the main story quest, it gives you a reward. You get this aspect of your Guardian back, you get this back, you get this. It gives you an incentive to continue the main story quest. There's like loads of stuff to do in Destiny. You've got the Crucible PvP area, and you've got all these side quests, but the incentive to carry on with the main story is really propelled by the fact that you're unlocking these mechanics, because you're still unlocking mechanics whilst you're playing the game, so that's good.
You know what I think a big deal, that's a really big deal, I think, because in Destiny 1, like you mentioned, you're just thrown in, and crucially, it's all the same. It all feels the same. It's all just an endless shooting gallery. That's like the one one big criticism that people had. Now with this story and the way that they've paced it, it's just it just changes up. You're gaining stuff all the time. You're thrust into interesting situations, and it's a really good way of keeping it fresh and keeping it feeling like a narrative, linear shooter experience, which the first game just didn't have. The only problem I've got with that specifically is that it's a bit too easy, I think.
I guess Destiny is kind of this fantasy of being powerful. You feel constantly like you're on the verge of death, but you've just managed to survive due to your skills of jumping around and being tight with that, and it does that excellently.
That's right. You feel like I jumped out of the way. I made the right decision to go back and cover at just the right time. You saved your own life a lot of the time. Even when you're playing the class that I play, which is a Titan, you're saving your allies a lot of the time because you've got a bit more health, and you're the guy who can drop the shield and just pull off a power play and save the situation. It empowers you in a lot of ways. But we've talked a lot about what returning players can expect. What about newcomers? Because this is something that I've been thinking about a lot.
Destiny 1 seems to have been a perfect beta test, however you want to say it.
Beta, the correct way.
For Destiny 2. Destiny 2 is kind of all the best bits about Destiny put into one game. So, like, the PC guys, you've got a good deal here. Console players have played the first game and spent hundreds of pounds on it.
They've moaned about it.
And they've complained about it enough for all the feedback to go on board. So this is really Destiny at its best.
And there's no reason not to, if just because you haven't played the first one.
Yeah, you're really not missing out at all.
This is something I was thinking about when I was playing the game as a returning player, right? And especially in the early few missions, I was thinking like, oh, this is amazing. This is so meaningful to me because I know I've been in the world for all this time and I've seen all this stuff. There's some huge story things around the Traveler, which is like the big kind of orb thing. In Destiny 2, I cared about that thing, whereas in the first one, I had no fucking idea what it was and why it was there. All I had was Peter Dinklage's words saying, the Traveler came, and then it was really important and it brought the light to combat the dark. That's all I had on the Traveler. Now I care about things that are happening to it, which is great, right? And that's really meaningful. But I was also thinking at the same time, if you're a newcomer, this means fuck all to you. Not just the Traveler thing, a lot of things that I thought, a lot of little details that I noticed. And I think for that reason, it's a pretty brave game because they've aimed this at returning players in a big way, especially like from a narrative point of view. They've looked specifically at the people who played through the campaign, even to the extent that the people who stuck around and kept playing it in the end game for a long time and gone, we're going to make a good game for you, you're going to enjoy this game. And they've really tried to appeal to them, which I think is a ballsy move because it kind of leaves a lot of players feeling a bit excluded, I would say.
Perhaps. I mean, the story was so patronisingly simple in the first one that you can just plop yourself into the second one and figure out what's going on. Of course, you're not going to have the same empathy as returning players, but you're going to be able to figure it out pretty simple. You might not understand the importance of these characters and who's that, but you get it. It's just exactly the same as playing The Witcher 3.
As far as picking up the story goes, totally, like we've just been talking about, like it's very easy to pick up and get into because there was barely any story in the first game. But I think as far as trying to specifically target your core audience is a good thing to do, because I think they could have easily just wiped the slate and gone, right, we're going to do it right this time and we're going to forget everything that happened in the first one and just kind of rebuild this sci-fi universe. But they just kept going with it, which I think is cool. It's a brave move, and I think it's interesting. Okay, so the next thing we should mention is the beta. How does it compare to the beta, do you reckon, Jay?
It's worth knowing I wasn't really very fond of the beta at all. It wasn't spectacular. It was good, but it wasn't like, oh, I need to buy this game. And I'm impressed, very impressed. Completely swayed me. The content in the game so far, I played quite a lot of it, and it's incredible so far. Everything about the beta that was complained about really was changed. They had some problems with like the rate in which things are recharging, how limited it was to find ammo, blah blah blah. And obviously the first mission that you saw in Destiny beta was the tower from the first game, so you didn't see any of the new places. All the new places are way better. Every one of them is pretty unique. I'm really enjoying it so far. The Crucible's the only thing that I've not touched on in the main game because I'm enjoying single player too much, which is something I touched on in the beta. So that's the only thing I can't say with an education on it, is how the Crucible compares, if they balance out any issues. I had some issues with the Crucible and beta, but I think the issue is just that I'm shit, so I don't know.
It's interesting though, because I loved it and you did not like it.
I didn't like that they scaled it down, like everything felt a little bit claustrophobic again.
I really am not into that normally, but I like this.
What was the moon map from Destiny 1 where you could get onto your sparrows and it was a huge map? This is like...
Had vehicles and...
I mean, maybe this is what I'm saying, this is why I don't want to say too much, because maybe that is in the full game now. Maybe there's big maps.
We just don't know.
And maybe the only maps that they shown were like the arena-y ones. But I didn't like it. It was very arena-ish. But again, that's just a personal taste, and there's loads of people that do like that. So
overall, though, it compares pretty favourably to the beta, doesn't it? I think we both agree on that you just...
Yeah, you'd be hard-pressed finding someone, and the internet's full of opinions and articles, try and find someone that says it's worse than the beta.
Yeah,
you'd be hard-pressed.
They've made some nice adjustments and correct. So we'll cap off all this then with your favourite moment so far. You've played it for quite a long time. You're
about 11 hours in, I'd say. 11, 12 hours in.
What's been your favourite moment so far?
Do you know what? It's the first mission that you do after the prologue, the beta mission.
That's what I've written down.
Seriously, the one thing.
Seriously.
It's just this, like, your character goes on kind of a journey somewhere, and you end up in the first social space, which is called the farm. From the beta mission to the farm, I was like, oh, this is ace.
I thought it was a bit of a statement. I thought it was like, you're going to care about this. You are going to care about the story this time around. The beta story mission was one thing, and it definitely was a big improvement on the kind of story missions we had in the first one. But then the second one just kind of hammers that home in a different way by, like, cinematic is exactly the word. It's kind of it's very sweeping kind of soundtrack to it all. There's a lot of just walking and looking at stuff, and the way the enemies kind of reveal themselves to you is awesome. In that it's not like just the pods of enemies that just appear like they do in the rest of the game. They are kind of thrown in there at you in a very stylized.
It feels
kind of way.
Organic, doesn't it? It feels like that they have been there before. They haven't just landed there to attack you, ambush you.
The context, the fact that it is Destiny, is what made that so good, because it's kind of leaps in time forward every few days or so or whatever. That is not that good. But the fact that all this storytelling, all this sweeping kind of orchestral soundtrack, and the enemies just appearing organically, the fact that is in Destiny, that is what I was kind of getting at. I was like, this is seriously good. And it's only like returning players who will kind of enjoy that and appreciate what they're saying there.
It's at that moment, you just realise it in your head. That's what the game was missing.
It says something if there's both of our picks for the favourite moment of
and
the game.
I've been checking online as well. This week, the news, including our videos, guys, obviously, everything's been dwarfed by Destiny, so it must be pretty hard for people that don't care about the game right now. But if you're on the inside of it, it's a good, and everyone seems to be agreeing that it's making statements, and the story's the big improvement of the game. And you know what? The only thing I've got to say before we leave it really is that just because we're talking about the story and stuff like that, the gameplay, the gunplay, everything like that is as smooth as ever.
Very sharp.
It's not like we haven't got anything to talk about. It's just as good as the first one, if not. The gameplay is phenomenal. We want to say, and of course people that are going to make rash decisions about this video probably won't be listening to it at this point, but if you are kind of thinking, well, you guys are going very easy, and we're aware that it's kind of like we're playing it early, everybody's talking about it, but it's a nice communal buzz. And do you know what? For Activision to get a communal buzz is quite funny, isn't it? It's quite a thing that they've won a lot of people over with this.
This is Bungie. This is Bungie's terrific game design. People who've made one of the best first-person shooter experiences. I
love how Activision, Halo, just by not fucking it up so badly as publishers, I have commended them, and I completely forgot it. Like Bungie, the developers.
So there you go. Some positive noises about Destiny 2 to add to the rest of the hubbub online about it. It was out on console on Wednesday on PS4 and Xbox, and it's out on PC on October 24th if you want to jump in then. Pretty much a recommendation from both me and Jake here. It's a decent game, very much improved over the beta, and absolutely a huge improvement over the first game in almost every respect. Destiny 2, enjoy.